It's Monday, September 4. In the headlines, Education Minister urges stakeholders to embrace education transformation. In business news, we have your market updates and more. Regionally, Barbados, BMA working on ration pack initiative. Internationally, African heads of state in Nairobi for inaugural Africa Climate Summit. And in sports, Jamaica Football Federation says Reggae Girls will be getting paid this week. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Starting Monday, September 4, persons utilizing the Harborview to Yallas leg of the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project will be granted a minimum of 2 paved, free-flowing lanes of travel along the corridor. The National Works Agency, NWA, in a statement says there will be traffic management strategies put in place to handle the anticipated increase in traffic that usually accompanies the start of the academic year. Acting Manager of Communication and Customer Services at the NWA, Stacey Levante, explained that during the morning peak hours of 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., persons utilizing the section of the roadway from Stella Road to Cane River Bridge will utilize 2 lanes heading toward Kingston. Persons traveling toward Yallas during the same period will utilize a single lane. During the evening peak hours of 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., the opposite flow will obtain. Ms. Delevante says the work to complete the expansion of the corridor continues. Transforming, reforming, moving forward. That was the theme of this year's back-to-school message from Minister of Education and Youth, Favour Williams. She says Jamaica is in an era where change is a living reality. The Education Minister says she is confident that her team has been taking the right strategies and actions for the best outcomes. Those, she says, encompasses strategies to survive the constant movement of teachers.
We know that there may be some lingering unease about the number of teachers who have left the system, but I want to assure Jamaicans that there are enough high-quality teachers available to support the teaching and learning process at the highest standards.
She's urging stakeholders to embrace the changes and reforms to ensure a brighter future for Jamaican students.
Let us move forward together, equipping our students with the tools they need to excel and contribute meaningfully to society. To all our students, the education transformation journey is designed specifically for you. We are creating an environment where innovation and creativity thrive.
The Education Minister spoke of the Transformation in Education for National Development TREND program as one that goes beyond a series of policies.
It embodies a shared vision for progress, a commitment to excellence, and an investment in the boundless potential of our students.
Minister Williams says the skills being taught today will shape the future of the nation.
We're here to support you every step of the way. Teachers and principals, you play a crucial role in this transformation. Your dedication is the foundation for a future for our students and the growth and prosperity of this nation. Our reforms acknowledge the difficulties you face and aim to equip you with the tools, resources, and opportunities that you truly deserve.
Consumers in the corporate area will experience a tightening of the National Water Commission's water restriction. The NWC says it is due to a fall in supply at the Mona water treatment plant in St. Andrew, which has been badly affected by the current drought. Effective Monday, September 4, the affected areas will receive water from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. instead of the current supply schedule of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In a statement on Saturday, the NWC explained that with the drought conditions persisting and little to no rainfall in the corporate area, inflows to the Mona Reservoir have been woefully low. It said catchment levels at the facility had reached 34.3% or 277.5 million gallons on Friday, September 1. The conditions are reportedly similar at Hermitage Dam, where catchment levels are at 39.5% or 155.6 million gallons. Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Floyd Green is urging Jamaicans to take advantage of the business opportunities in the sector. Speaking on Love 101 FM's Good Morning Minister show recently, Minister Green said interested persons can get help in starting or enhancing their farms. The Agriculture and Fisheries Minister says it's all a part of the government's food security matrix. He says his focus is to attract young farmers, and facilities are in place to take them from concept to execution.
At least 20% of land under our control, the ministry's control, must go to young farmers or women farmers, and we've passed that, right? So in our agri-parks now, if you're interested, if you don't have the land and you're interested, contact the Agri-Invest Corporation. Mm-hmm. There is a pathway we can work with you. If you're looking for a business plan, right? Let's say you have the land, but you're not sure what business you want to do in agriculture. The AIC will help you write that business.
He says they're also looking for people who are interested in fruit farming and exporting.
We have a mango orchard now, tremendous opportunities for people who want to plant mangoes. Again, the AIC, we're looking for people to do ackee orchards. We're looking for people to do breadfruit orchards. We want people to partner with the ministry.
The Agriculture Minister says there is a small ruminant program to aid those with an interest in that area as well.
What the government can do for you if you're interested in goat rearing is that we have an artificial insemination program that is free. What we need now is better genetics, right? We want to see bigger goats that, take less time. So what we are willing to do is, if you have a group of farmers, Nesta, you can reach out to the Veterinary Services Division. Anybody listening to this, you can reach out to the Veterinary Service Division. We can provide a team to come and artificially inseminate your goats so that you will have better breeds, and all of that is done free of cost.
He noted that a vast majority of mutton consumed in Jamaica is imported.
Is imported, and the vast majority of importation is not goat, it's actually mutton. Right? So
you mean you might be thinking you're getting a goat?
Yeah, a lot of the time. So,
So what else? So you're telling me then, Floyd, that more of us need to go into goat?
150%.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Welcome to the Business Report. I'm Danita Rodney. This week's Young Boss is the man you go to for your latest and most up-to-date building and construction needs. Let's meet Aquis Group CEO Adrian Bradford.
Hi, my name is Adrian Bradford, CEO of Aquis Group and Managing Director of BRL Labs Limited. Well, I offer a full-service construction company, so from the purchase of land, development of the property, renovations of property, and it's not limited just to construction. So if you want me to build a house or apartment or hotel, I can do so. Or if you want me to just consult, give you cost information, how to manage your site, how to manage your deliverables, we can do that as well. So it's a full range of services that really have no limitations. So the difference between myself and Bob the Builder, all these random guys that just think they can build, is I actually studied for it. So I went to the University of Technology, I studied quantity surveying, so I'm a QS by profession. And then I also went to Barbados, where I studied project management and evaluation, so I can actually do the process of building. Now, construction is a family business for me. I grew up with my father doing landscape contracting, concrete testing, various hotel projects, and then I left University of Technology and I traveled throughout the Caribbean, where I learned various trades and technical skills. So I'm a bit more equipped to give advice and to actually do than a lot of the persons that grew up and said, I can mix some cement, so I'm a contractor. Pretty good. Most of my customers actually are happy that I'm very honest and open. So I'm sometimes even talk myself out of business because I will tell you if it makes no sense, don't spend your money there. So my customers are generally very happy with me. I'm very straightforward with them, which is kind of rare in this kind of environment. Everybody just wants to make a dollar, but for me, your name is more important than the revenue that you could get from that one job. So, it helps. So this brings you back to the original statement, right? There are a lot of people that are claiming to be builders. So Jamaica, unfortunately, like everything else, we have the little bending of the law and the greasing of the palm and the friend here and there, which has reflected in our construction environment, right? So you have a lot of these apartment buildings that they're being zoned in residential areas that should not carry it. They're generally blocking out the view and causing public nuisances, but through friends and the links, they've been able to go. We don't do a lot of policing. So KSAC is one department. They really don't cover all and every nook and cranny, and everybody has a friend somewhere. So I think that's the biggest challenge in Jamaica. Hotel developments come to us to test their concrete. They come to us to test the soil to make sure everything is good and will stand up for 50 years, 60 years. The private man doesn't. So there's nothing that forces them to come and say, verify that this concrete strength is good enough, that it will withstand this hurricane, this seismic activity. They aren't doing that. So my biggest concern is in the smaller market, there aren't enough preventative measures put in place to ensure that we're solid for the future. So that again falls back on government. It's all about regulation. So we need more government bodies enforcing that we build a certain distance from the perimeter, from the road. You limit certain size buildings in certain communities, trying to preserve some of the the traditional kind of infrastructure. Challenges, just the new challenges. And for me, I like construction because it's just to do something different each time. So no job is really the same. All the challenges are different. And it's hard, but you always have that feeling when you finish and you look at something that you've built and you can say, wow, this really turned out great. Or, Jano, I learned some lesson here, so and this can't reach me again, but it's always something exciting. So my office is at 7 Ivy Green Crescent, that's near Crossroad. Online, it's Aqueous Group on Instagram. You can look for BR Labs Limited on Instagram, that's the other page for the concrete testing. And yeah, generally you could see me driving around somewhere in your neighborhood.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Friday, September 1, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.18. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.43. The pound sterling traded for $197.68, and the euro sold for $167.21. In GSE trading, the GSE index advanced by over 2,905 points. The junior market index declined by over 64 points. The combined market index advanced by over 2,118 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 3,500 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 103 stocks, of which 39 advanced, 46 declined, and 18 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Barita Investments Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and the Caribbean Insurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and the Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Verbal Preference, Virgin Paints Jamaica Limited, and Carreras Limited. The overall volume leaders were Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 5 million units, Trans Jamaican Highway Limited, and Alaska Manufacturing Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted a volume of 600 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Epic Caribbean Property Fund Development Fund was the volume leader with 7,200 shares. They were followed by Epic Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund, which traded 7,000 shares. In regional business, a suggestion is being made that local Barbadian officials need to do more to ensure self-employed and entrepreneurs receive enhanced national insurance benefits.
The changes that were announced for self-employed individuals are welcome and important. However, the changes only offer easier compliance and nothing transformative. In the past few years, we saw the impact of COVID. We saw the impact of the ash fall. We saw the impact of a hurricane on the business sector. Also note that climate change poses a real threat to our livelihoods. Certainly, these should have sparked more creative solutions for the sector we say is important to our national development. Yes, pension is important, but what happens if another pandemic hits? Or, God forbid, a severe hurricane?
Online resources, webinars, and e-learning platforms provide avenues for continuous learning, enabling entrepreneurs to adapt to changing market trends, integrate cutting-edge technologies, and foster innovation in their respective domains. In this vein, Flow Business has continued its free series of innovation virtual conferences held under the theme Pivot to Success, Transforming Your Business for the Digital Age. And to date, more than 5,000 regional entrepreneurs have registered for the various fora, and as part of the series, we also invite small business owners to pitch their ideas to a live virtual audience for their chance to win financial investments for their startups.
In international business, U.S. stocks ended higher after a jump in unemployment cemented expectations of a pause in interest rate hikes this month, while shares of streaming firms tumbled due to a rate dispute between Disney and Charter Communications.
The Dow gained 0.33%, the S&P 500 added nearly 0.2%, while the Nasdaq dipped marginally. Data from the Labor Department showed the annual unemployment rate in August rose to 3.8%, while wage growth slowed. Employers added more jobs than expected, but data for July was revised lower. While the data added more evidence that the Fed may be done hiking rates to tame inflation, Eric Lynch, managing director at Scharf Investments, says parts of the report also showed that a soft landing for the economy is not so certain.
Two leading indicator sectors, or industries rather, that showed contraction were number one, trucking transportation, 37,000 net lost jobs. And then also another leading indicator is temporary employment help agencies. That was down 19,000. Again, the negative is typically this is what we see prior to past recessions is transportation down, semis down, things like that.
In company news, shares of Walt Disney dropped about 2.5%, and Charter Communications fell roughly 3.5% as the two battle over an unresolved distribution agreement, with Disney pulling its ESPN, ABC, and other networks off Charter's Spectrum cable service. Other media firms also fell, with Warner Brothers Discovery slumping 12%, Paramount Global losing 9.5%, and Fox Corporation down nearly 6%. And Tesla's shares declined 5% after the EV maker cut prices for its Model S and Model X vehicles in the U.S.
In market data for oil prices were stable amid expectations that major producers would keep supplies tight as hopes grew for the Federal Reserve to leave interest rates unchanged to avoid dampening the U.S. economy. Brent crude futures crept 5 cents higher to $88.60 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 2 cents to $85.57. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, never too early, never too late is the 2023 theme for World Alzheimer's Month. The Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago kicked off the month's commemoration with their annual launch and lunch at the Hyatt Regency in Port of Spain.
The Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago, or ASAT, has been opening World Alzheimer's Month with this launch and lunch for the past 5 years. This year, President Christine Kangaloo has accepted the role of patron of ASAT and was in attendance at the event. ASAT's president, Michelle Saunders-Clavery, noted that more education about dementia and Alzheimer's is needed.
Research has shown that globally, there is a poor understanding of dementia and Alzheimer's. The work, therefore, of World Alzheimer's Month is vital in raising awareness and in improving knowledge, as well as supporting those who live with the disease and more so those who care for them.
Ms. Saunders-Clavery explained that the theme, Never Too Early, Never Too Late, centers on key risk factors of the disease and risk reduction, and stressed on the need for raising awareness.
Never too early, never too late expresses a sense of hope and encouragement to individuals like yourselves to get involved in something seemingly insurmountable and larger than self. Information is key that can be used to unlock and tackle the various untruths, misconceptions, and myths surrounding Alzheimer's disease. Knowledge and understanding is another key.
September 21st is recognized as World Alzheimer's Day. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
Healthy, ready-to-eat, pre-packaged foods made right in Barbados should be on the shelves in time for next year's hurricane season. According to Executive Director of the Barbados Manufacturers Association, Sharday Boyce, this is the aim of the association's Ration Pack initiative.
It is the development of ready-to-eat meals that can be used within emergencies and by other personnel within the Defense Force, etc. That project would solve so many of our problems here, not only from a food security perspective, but we know that there's a point where natural disaster meets health. What healthy products do we have for a person suffering from diabetes, hypertension during a natural disaster? And that is why we've taken a little longer to roll out the project, because we realize that there is a need, there's a demand, and we really have to take our time with it so it will be fit for purpose. We have a lot of smaller companies. For example, we have this manufacturer, she's actually doing cutting boards. And that's a new dimension. Our aim is always to diversify the manufacturing sector. A lot of persons are aware of the traditional manufacturers as it pertains to our food manufacturers, but we are doing so much more as it pertains to manufacturing here in Barbados. From a small scale to the big manufacturers, they are already innovating and doing things different. So you're going to see a lot of those companies at the expo, a lot of small businesses doing different things with the intention of export in mind.
After serving almost 5 years as the resident ambassador for the United States of America to Guyana, Sarah Ann Lynch departs. The diplomat leaves behind her legacy of tripled bilateral trade and deeper business and political connections. During her final press engagement last week, Lynch highlighted the shared goals of prosperity, security, and good governance.
With the goal of shared prosperity, security, and governance, we have achieved notable successes together with partners in government, the private sector, and in civil society. We've worked hard to tell Guyana's story of transformation and attract U.S. investors, not the least of which is the historic gas-to-energy partnership that will drastically lower the cost of electricity for Guyanese citizens. We have supported and we will continue to support the preservation of Guyana's beautiful biodiversity, and I hope there are more deals like the landmark $750 million US carbon credit deal with the U.S. company, the Hess Corporation. Importantly, In partnership with the Guyanese people, we tripled our bilateral trade over the past 4 years. We contributed to that success by hosting multiple large trade missions and will continue to do more on the commercial front so that U.S. business people can build meaningful partnerships with local companies, educational institutions, and government ministries. U.S. companies always bring high standards and responsible business practices to their work, further promoting shared prosperity.
In international news, African heads of state are meeting in Nairobi for the inaugural Africa Climate Summit. They're deliberating in the Kenyan capital on how the continent can take climate action. Among the aims are a common plan for tackling climate change, proposals for a new international financing framework, and plans for dealing with biodiversity loss. More from Al Jazeera.
The agenda here is very rich. The delegates are talking about different issues that affect the continent, including climate migration, including climate finance, conservation. We know that communities are saying that they want to be involved in conservation as well. And now joining me to talk about all this is Ademola Ajabe, who has focuses on conservation. What are your expectations when it comes to this summit?
Thank you so very much for having me. This Africa Climate Summit, the first ever, is really timely in the sense that it's bringing to the fore conversation around climate finance. As we all know, Africa is suffering the brunt of climate change impacts, but there's also a huge opportunity that can be unlocked through a gathering like this in terms of how do we recalibrate or reimagine options for financing climate change mitigation and adaptation on the continent. So in terms of expectation is to see tangible outcome coming in that direction in terms of what are the many or sustainable finance mechanisms that Africa can tap into to cope with the impact of climate change.
What pressure should be used when it comes to international financing climate change?
Very good question in terms of the pressure that we need to use. I think the narrative is very rapidly in the sense that Africa used to play victim to the impact of climate change. But more and more we're beginning to see that there are actually benefits that we need to capitalize on, leverage as Africa. A very good example is the wealth on the continent. Africa is home to a fourth of holds one of the most important carbon sinks in the world, the Congo Basin. So how do we look at that from a financial perspective, looking at the financial architecture for nature-based solution? That is very critical. So coming to how we work with the West is really about a negotiation that monetizes the impact and the benefit of this nature-based solution like climate mitigation in Africa to support climate impact financing across the continent.
In sports, Jamaica's Reggae Girls will be receiving all money due to them this week. The girls earned a hefty sum following their historic round of 16 appearance at the recently concluded FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Apart from the US $60,000 that each individual player will get for reaching the round of 16, they are contractually due 20% of the US $1.8 million prize money the Federation will receive from FIFA. Jamaica Football Federation's General Secretary, Dennis Chung, says they are also working with FIFA to settle tax payments to the Australian government. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. And remember, we are the People's Station. Thanks for watching.